Many years ago in the loud village of Umu, August was not just a month. It was a festival, a battlefield, and a runway all joined together. Every year, the women of the village, both the ones living at home and those who had traveled to the city, returned for the famous August meeting, a gathering where decisions were made for the community. But over the years, the meeting became less about discussions and more about competition. And by now, it had turned into a full-blown fashion war. Women no longer attended just to support development projects. They came to show power, to display wealth, and to prove who had arrived. The latest lace fabrics, Dubai golds, Italian handbags, and French perfumes became the weapon of pride, and anyone who came wearing an ordinary outfit risked being mocked. Now this year, the tension was thicker than ever because Chugo, the self-proclaimed cheer lady of style, had been boasting for months that she would scatter eyes at the meeting. Sugo was a tall, elegant woman in her early 40s with a sharp tongue and an even sharper sense of pride. Her husband was a struggling palm oil trader, but you would never know that from the way Chugo carried herself. Every time she spoke, she ended with the same line. "This August they will know I am not in their class." Her close friend Iformer, a short, curvy woman with a restless spirit, refused to be outdone. Iformer's obsession with showing off made her reckless. She secretly sold one plot of her husband's inherited land to a neighbor for quick money. And with that money, she bought an imported gold set and a handbag worth more than 4 months of her husband's salary. She planned to unveil them dramatically at the meeting and imagine how the other women would gasp in awe. Meanwhile, Adima, another ambitious friend, was not left behind. She could not afford lace, gold, or shoes, but she was determined to compete. And so, after endless contemplation in her kitchen, she finally downloaded 3 different loan apps on her phone. Within minutes, she borrowed 450,000 naira without her husband's knowledge. The apps made it so easy. Just a few clicks, and the money landed in her bank account. She immediately ordered a new set of jewelry, Italian shoes, a designer handbag, and a special Swiss lace wrapper that came with shimmering crystals that sparkled like water under the sun. Unfortunately, what Adama did not know or chose to ignore was that these loan apps were not ordinary. They were professional disgrace machines. But Adama did not care. She told herself she would pay back quickly after August when things calmed down. For now, her main focus was to shine and scatter respect. In the evenings, these 3 friends, Chugo, Efema, and Adima, would gather at Chugo's compound to plan their slave strategy for the August meeting. They launched Operation Scatter Eyes, and they would go on to discuss about who was buying what, who had borrowed from where, and who was likely to disgrace herself at the August meeting. "I am telling you," Chugu said one evening, "my wrapper will blind them this year. The crystals alone are talking in dollars. Nobody in this village can compete." A former shook her head and raised her shoulders proudly. "Leave the handbag section for me. I ordered mine from Milan, not Lagos. I paid in euros, Chugo euros. I want them to faint when I enter." Adima, who had borrowed from 4 different loan apps, was not to be outdone. She crossed her legs slowly and smiled confidently. "By the time I arrive, the sun will rise twice. People will know that this August belongs to me. My lace. When light touches my lace, angels will pass in heaven to admire it." They all burst into loud laughters. However, beneath their laughters, these women were deep in depth. All of them had borrowed from several loan apps just to gather money for their operation Pepper Them. But what they didn't know was that these loan apps had special wickedness programmed into them. Once you missed your first reminder, they would switch from polite notifications to public disgrace warfare. They did not just send emails. They created WhatsApp broadcast list containing your entire contact list, including your pastor, your husband's boss, your neighbors, and sometimes even the chief of your village. Their messages were merciless, and often goes like this. "This is to inform the general public that Mrs. Augad Machuki is a fraudulent borrower. She collected 450,000 naira and refused to pay. If seen, she should be reported to the police immediately. Do not do business with her." And to make things worse, they didn't just stop at texting. Oh, they also called. They would call your husband, your mother-in-law, your old classmates, even your children's teachers, shouting in a harsh Lagos English accent. "Madam, do you know this woman? She's a criminal. Yes, she borrowed our money and now she wants to run. We will disgrace her on Facebook. We will displace her on Instagram. We will displace her in our village." Well, these women couldn't be bothered about the repercussions. They were too busy planning and mocking the women who they believed were below them. One of such women was Dee, a humble and content woman who was managing her life small. She passed by carrying a small basket of vegetables from the market. She greeted them, but Chugo couldn't resist teasing her. My dear Chugu called, pretending to be concerned. Are you still planning to wear that wrapper you wore last year? Dee smiled. Yes, Chugu, the wrapper is still very neat. I believe in wearing what I can afford. If laughed loudly and slapped her lap and forward, huh? You don't want to shine small? Hey, we'll leave you behind. By the time we step into the meeting, the sun will reflect on our golden lips and turn the whole place into heaven. Adima rolled her eyes dramatically. You want to embarrass you women? The same meeting where women from Enugu and Lagos were attended. You want them to call us local? Better stay at home that day, because when you see my gold, you will hide your face. Dot looked at them one by one and shook her head slowly. I only hope the lace and gold you are borrowing will not shine brighter than your peace of mind. They all pretended not to hear and burst into laughter, mocking her. However, 2 days later, the first signs of trouble appeared. At exactly 700 a.m., Adima's phone rang loudly. She looked at the screen and froze. Loan app customer service. She hesitated, then picked up. Good morning, Mrs. Odima. A calm female voice said, This is just a friendly reminder that your repayment date is approaching. Please be prepared to settle your 450,000 NRA balance. Or Matt skipped, but she laughed. Don't worry, I will pay after August meeting. The voice paused for a moment, then replied sharply. Madam, we don't wait for August. We are not attending any meeting with you. Okadima ended the call quickly and prayed silently. But as she looked at the pile of lace, shoes, and handbags she had ordered, she smiled to herself. I cannot stop now. I must shine. After August will face anything. By the first week of August, Umu Village was no longer quiet. The streets were alive and electric. Everyone knew the famous August meeting was here, the day the women had been preparing for since January. From as early as 6 a.m., there was deep commotion everywhere. Tailors were making last-minute adjustments. Gay stylists were shouting at apprentices and perfume bottles were clinking on dressing tables. The sun wasn't even fully up yet, but the women were already glowing. In fact, Umazu had never seen this level of preparation before. In Chugo's house, it was chaos. Her lace wrapper, carefully imported from Dubai, was spread on the bed like a queen's robe. The gold necklace glittered on the dresser. Her mirror was full of fingerprints because she had checked her makeup 11 times already. If arrived at her compound early, holding her Italian handbag as if it were made of diamonds. True go. She called from outside. If you are not ready, I will leave you. Oh, we cannot afford to be late. I want to enter before everybody and scatter everywhere first. Inside, Chugo was having her gill tied so high like a skyscraper that could catch satellite signals. Calm down, informer, she shouted back. When I enter, everybody must notice now. I cannot waste my lace on an empty hall. We need to go late. Adima arrived moments later, dragging 2 shopping bags filled with perfume, extra jewelry, and backup shoes. Her outfit sparkled so much that the sunlight bouncing off her wrapper made the compound look as if it had fairy lights. She looked excited, but deep down she was nervous. She had borrowed too much, and she had spent too much. At this point, her heart was beating faster than the village drum. By 10 a.m., the venue, St. Anthony Catholic Church compound, was already filled up. Cars lined the road. Women stood in small groups talking, and the sound of gay was rustling, louder than the choir warming up inside. Then the grand entrances began. Chugo arrived first. She stepped out of her husband's old Toyota Corolla as if it was a limousine. She walked slowly, swaying her hips like a queen on a red carpet. Her gay, which was a touring masterpiece of golden green, shone under the sun. Her crystal lace glittered like water-catching lights, and her handbag swung deliberately from side to side. People stopped talking and their eyes followed her. Chai, look at you. Go. One woman whispered. This one wants to blind us today. I heard her necklace came from Dubai. Another woman replied, if she doesn't take time, customs will come and arrest her. Chugo smiled, pretending not to hear, but she heard every word and soaked it in like fresh palm wine. Next came E-Former, dressed in an emerald green lace with expensive gold embroidery. Her matching Italian shoes clinked loudly on the pavement, and her perfume filled the air like a silent announcement, saying, a queen has arrived. She held her handbag carefully, as if dropping it might end the world. Oh, I heard she ordered the handbag from Milan. Somebody whispered in awe. It cost 250,000 naira for just one bag. I heard she sold her husband's land. Oh, another woman replied. If it is true, the bag better grow wings and fly her to heaven. The whispers were loud, but if Former lifted her chin higher and pretended not to notice. Then came Adima. Her face was glowing and her wrapper shone like diamonds. For a moment, everyone froze. Even the women who mocked her before were surprised. She truly looked like royalty. She knew it, and she smiled sweetly, enjoying the admiration. Meanwhile, Dut entered the compound quietly, dressed in her old wrapper and sandals. She walked past them without a word and sat in the back row. Some women laughed under their breath. "See her," Chugo whispered to inform. "She's looking as if she came to buy a car, not to attend August meeting." Just as the event was starting, Adima's phone vibrated. She ignored it, but it vibrated again and then again. Finally, she looked at the screen and her heart nearly stopped. Lone app calling. She swallowed hard and silenced the phone, but within seconds, another number called, then another, then her. Phone vibrated so violently that it slipped from her hand and landed on the floor. At the same moment, Chugo's phone vibrated too. She checked it casually, and her face drained instantly. "Dear Madam Trugo, your loan balance is 500,000 naira. Failure to pay within 24 hours will result in contacting your husband, your pastor, and your entire contact list." Chugo's breath paused, but she quickly locked her phone, forced a smile, and adjusted her gaze. Then a former's handbag began vibrating, like a trapped insect. She ignored it until she saw the message on her smartwatch. "Madame Informer, we have given you enough time today. Everyone will know you are a fraud." She felt her chest tightened, but she smiled and continued clapping with the choir, pretending to enjoy the hymn. Meanwhile, the other women were watching closely. They noticed the nervous glances, the sudden, sweaty faces, and the stiff laughter. Something was wrong, but they didn't know what yet. By 12 p.m., the church compound looked like a runway mixed with a festival. The choir had finished singing. The priest had said the opening prayer, and the meeting had officially begun. Women sat in rows with their tall gaze swaying like palm trees in the Amazon wind. Everyone was waiting for their moment to shine. But, unfortunately, Kama arrived early. Aduma's phone rang again. She quickly pressed silent. A few seconds later, another number called, then another. Then, just when she wanted to turn up the phone, she mistakenly picked the phone and the speaker blasted loudly. "This is to inform you, Mrs. Augad Machuki, that your loan repayment of 450,000 naira is overdue. Failure to pay today will lead to contacting your husband, your pastor, your family, and your entire contact list within the next 1 hour." The robotic voice echoed through the microphone connected to the speaker near her, and the entire women's section froze. Kai? Why did she sit near the microphone? Heads turned immediately, and one of the women asked, "Miss, did we just hear 450,000 naira?" "Shh, don't look at her," Miss S whispered back, pretending to fix her gill while secretly leaning forward to hear more. Aim's cheeks burned. Her fingers trembled as she grabbed her phone and pressed every button she could find. But before she could switch it off, another loud alert popped up on her screen. "Final warning. You have 30 minutes before we contact all your saved numbers. Pay now or face disgrace." Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Just when they thought it couldn't get worse, Eformer's phone vibrated violently. She tried to ignore it until her smartwatch lit up with a new message. "Dear Madame Eformer, we have created a WhatsApp broadcast list. We are contacting 76 of your saved numbers, including your husband, your mother-in-law, your reverend sister, cousin, and the village chairman. Pay 300 naira now to stop public disgrace." Her throat went dry. She tried to swallow, but she couldn't. Her Italian handbag suddenly felt like a block of cement on her lap. Across the aisle, Chugo's phone pinned with the same messel stone. "Dear Madame Trugo, your husband's contact, your priest, and your women's fellowship coordinator had been notified about your unpaid loan. To stop further humiliation, pay 500,000 naira immediately." She gasps and held her chest, but she quickly forced a smile, pretending to adjust her necklace. By now, the entire front row was restless. The women around them began exchanging looks and questions. "Did you hear that, loan apps? They borrowed money just to wear lace and gold. Ha! Today will be sweet." Now, if the women thought they could hide it, the loan apps had other plans. At exactly 12:45 p.m., Aduma's phone rang again. But this time, the caller didn't speak privately. A loud, angry male voice boomed from the other end, and the entire row could hear because she accidentally pressed speaker. "Madam Maya, you think you can hide? Pay our 450,000 naira. Now you think we are joking. If you don't pay in 30 minutes, we will send your picture and details to all your phone contacts and call your husband life. We will also declare you a criminal on Facebook and Instagram." The crowd froze in shock. One woman linked to another. "Mama Chi, did you hear that? Criminal." Adim's hand shook so badly that her phone slipped and clattered onto the concrete floor. A hush fell across the compound as everyone turned to stare at her. And then, as if on cue, A WhatsApp group message dropped on almost every woman's phone in the compound. Those who checked their screens gasped dramatically, and within seconds, laughter broke out. Warning: this woman, Mrs. Machuki, borrowed 450,000 naira and refused to pay. Please report her immediately if seen. Do not lend her money. Do not trust her. She's a scammer. Attached to the message was Adima's full photo smiling in her brand new crystal lace looking like royalty. The same image she just posted on Facebook that morning. Hi. The irony was too much. People couldn't hold back their lapser by now. Within 15 minutes, 3 angry husbands stomped into the compound. First was Eformer's husband. His shirt was half-buttoned and he was sweating. He pointed at her furiously. Eformer? Where is my father's land? Eformer froze in her seat. She blinked rapidly. Nah, it's not what you think. Not what I think? He shouted, shaking with rage. You sold my father's land to buy handbag. Before she could reply, Chugo's husband arrived holding his phone high. So it is true, Chugo. Your disgrace has reached me. Why is my name on WhatsApp? Why is my picture on Facebook with the caption husband of a lone thief? A loud ah filled the air. Some women buried their faces in their fans to laugh. Meanwhile, the church chairman grabbed the microphone and tried to restore order. My sisters, please let us make him decorum. This is not the purpose of the August meeting, but he couldn't finish restoring order because Augadma's phone rang again loud at this time, and the voice on the other end screamed. Madame Adama, last warning, we have started calling your contacts. Your mother-in-law, your pastor, and your neighbors have all received your criminal notice. If you like keep forming Big Madame there, we will send thunder from shrine to descend on you. Pay us our money, thief. At this point, some women laughed uncontrollably while a few tried to sneak out quietly before their own secrets were exposed. By the end of the day, the compound was in chaos and the once proud queens became the center of mockery. The August meeting had turned into a public spectacle of disgrace, but the humiliation was far from over because the loan apps weren't finished yet. By the next morning, Umar's village woke up to chaos. The sun had barely risen when everyone's phones started beeping non-stop. Some were sleeping peacefully when loud notifications jolted them awake. And when they checked their phones, they screamed so loudly that even their goats ran from the compound. The loan apps had declared full wall. WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. Everywhere was flooded with messages, photos, and voice notes. One broadcast message was especially popular because it contained 3 pictures of Chugo smiling proudly in her crystal lace, a former swinging her Italian handbag, and Adim dazzling in her shiny wrapper. The caption read, Public notice Mrs. Chugo, Mrs. Eformer, and Mrs. Adim Man are criminal detours who borrowed 1,250,000 naira combined and have refused to pay. They should be arrested immediately. Do not lend them money. Do not trust them. Please share until justice is served in Augadma's compound. Her husband Chuki sat on the wooden bench outside holding his phone with trembling hands. His jaw was clenched so tightly that the veins in his neck stood out like ropes. Adim Madi told. Outside carrying a cup of water for him, Chuki looked up slowly. Adima explained to me, why is my boss calling me at 6 a.m. to ask why my wife's picture is on WhatsApp with the caption village scammer? Adima swallowed hard. Nah, it's not what you think. Oh, I was planning to pay after August. He stood, abruptly. Pay with what? You borrowed 450,000 naira to shine for one day. One day he raised his hand to the sky in frustration. May God not allow me to faint in shame. As they argued, her phone rang again. She picked it up hesitantly and put it to her ear, only to hear a furious voice. Madame Oadima, you have entered our blacklist. Pay us now or we will send your obituary before your funeral. She dropped the phone instantly, shaking like earthworm in a bottle. Across the village, Ayama's husband, Obina, was pacing like a lion in a cage. His elder brother sat on the couch looking equally furious. So it is true, Obina said, pointing his trembling finger at her. You sold my father's land to buy Italian shoes. Do you know how many years my father farmed that land? A farmer knelt on the floor. Nah, please forgive me. I only wanted us to have respect at the August meeting. Everybody was mocking me. Her brother-in-law hissed loudly. Respect? You wanted respect? And now the whole village is laughing at you. Even children are singing your name on the road. Just then her phone beeped loudly again with a new notification. Your debt of 300,000 naira remains on page. Your husband's name has been forwarded to the land registry for possible property seizure. Obina grabbed the phone, read the message, and almost collapsed. Proper seizure, he shouted. Informer, if they touch my father's house, you will sleep under the mango tree outside. I swear. Meanwhile, in Chug's flat, her pride had finally fallen flat. Yesterday, she had been the queen. strutting like a peacock. But today, she was sitting on the floor, holding her golden necklace in her palm and staring blankly at the ceiling. Her husband bashed into the room and waved his phone angrily. "Chugo, my pastor is calling me." My elder brother in Lagos called, me crying. "The whole family group chat is full of your disgrace." Chugo opened her mouth, but no words came out. She just stared at him. Suddenly, her phone began to vibrate violently again. She picked it up slowly, and her heart nearly stopped when she saw the message. "Dear Madame Trugo, your contacts have been reached. A petition has been drafted. Expect your name in the National Depths Bulletin by tomorrow." Her heart trembled so badly that the phone slipped and fell to the floor. By noon, Umos was cooking hot. Groups of women gathered under trees were playing the drama with exaggerated details. Did you see what Gabima's face when the announcer called her name yesterday? One woman said she nearly swallowed her gay. Another woman laughed so hard and bent forward. Sugo was forming Dubai Queen, but her name is treading online as Madame Loan App. My stomach is paining me from laughing too much. However, while the entire village boiled with gossip and disgrace, they all lived in peace. She had worn her old wrapper with dignity and returned home debtree and shame-free. When she passed the women gossiping that morning, they all went silent. One of them whispered, "That is due to the one we mocked. See how she's walking like queen." Mother, Duh smiled but said nothing. And then by the following Monday morning, Village woke up to an announcement at exactly 7:30 a.m. The village radio station Unity FM was live on air when the presenter's voice came sharply. "Attention, attention, this is a public announcement from Swift Cash Loan Recovery Services. The following individuals are hereby declared financial defaulters, owing a combined amount of 1,150,000 naira. Mrs. Chugo Oka for 500,000 naira. Mrs. E-Form Obina, 300,000 naira. Mrs. Adim Machuki, 450,000 naira. Failure to pay within 7 days will lead to court action and possible criminal prosecution. This is your last warning." The announcement echoed across the village, and almost instantly neighbors began rushing to each other's compounds to dissect it. By 8 a.m., the disgrace had crossed the village borders. The story made it into Facebook, groups, TikTok videos, and Instagram blogs. Screenshots of the WhatsApp broadcast, pictures from the August meeting, and mocking me flooded social media. She borrowed 450,000 naira to shine for one day. Now her shine is trending nationwide. Dubai Lace Village disgrace laughing emoji. Unfortunately, in Adama's compound, the tension was so strong like Fufu Chukihara husband hadn't gone to work in 2 days. He sat on the bed with his hands on his head, rocking back and forth slowly like someone attending his own funeral. Adama stood by the door, twisting the edge of her old wrapper. "Please, I will find a way." Chuck raised his head slowly. "Find a way? Which way?" "Do you know my office has suspended me?" My boss said until I remove my name from those online broadcasts. I should not return to work. You have finally finished me now. Adim's lips trembled. But before she could respond, her phone began ringing. She looked at the screen. Loan App HQ. Her heart stopped. But Chuki snatched the phone from her hand and pressed speaker. A deep male voice roared through the room. "Madame Oadima, we are not joking anymore. Today, by 400 p.m., your name and photo will appear at the National Depot's Gazette. We have sent an official letter to your husband's workplace, to your church, and to the police station. This is your last chance." "Pay up," Chugi shouted. "Police, Ogadma, do you want me to die young?" Adima dropped to her knees and cried bitterly. "I only wanted respect, my husband, please. I only wanted to shine once." Across the village, a former's house was like a war zone. Her husband Obina sat on the floor of the veranda holding a brown envelope. "Do you see this?" he shouted. "This is a court summon. Court E-Former, they want to drag us to a magistrate court because of your madness." E-Former knelt down and held his legs tightly. "Nah, please, I beg you, don't leave me. I will pay them back. I promise I will even sell my jewelry." Obina yanked his legs away violently. "Jewelry? You mean the fake gold you bought from a bar for 15,000 naira? That one that cannot even buy mosquito repellent." "Former, you have destroyed this family now from the gates." Their neighbor Mama Nkiru exclaimed loudly to another woman, making sure Former could hear. Obina warned how, but she didn't listen. "See now, court letter has arrived. She wanted to pepper us with her handbag. Now it is peppering her chest." Obina turned and shouted at them. "Mama Kiru, if you don't leave my gate, I will throw this court letter at you." The women scattered, immediately laughing. Meanwhile, Chugo, the self-proclaimed Dubai queen, was facing her own humiliation. Her husband, Ibuka, walked into the sitting room holding his phone. "Chugo," he said quietly, too shocked to even shout. Do you know what my older brother just sent me? Your picture is trending on national TV. They are using it to teach people how loan apps disgrace depots. She grabbed the phone with trembling hands and gasped when she saw herself on the screen, smiling proudly in her August meeting outfits under the headline, 3 women borrowed 1.2 million naira to buy gold and lace. Loan apps strike back. Chuko dropped the phone and sank to the floor, crying loudly. Ibuka looked at her for a long moment. I warned you, but you wanted to show the world that you are bigger than everyone else. Now, the whole world knows your name as a big depth. By the next Sunday, the humiliation entered a new level. St. Anthony's Catholic Church, where the August meeting had been held, issued an official statement. Effective immediately, Mrs. Chugo, Mrs. Amer, and Mrs. Adam Machuki are suspended from holding any leadership or financial roles in the church until further notice. Their actions have brought dishonor to the Women's Fellowship and to the church community. The announcement was read out loud during Sunday Mass, and the entire congregation laughed as the priest called their names one by one. By now, shame was even ashamed of these 3 women. Flyers with their faces and depth amounts were posted on electric poles, market stalls, school gates, and even the church compound. Children giggled and pointed whenever they walked past. At the markets, tomato sellers would gather to talk about them. Do you know what people are calling them now? The Golden Doctors Association. Another woman replied, holding her stomach from laughing too hard. August Sul Queen, stoned September beggars. The insult flew like stones, and sadly nobody defended them. By the end of the month, the entire village had learned a lesson. No woman dared to borrow money to buy lace or gold. Again, the known apps had taught everyone a hard lesson. Your show of today can become your shame tomorrow. However, for Chugo, if it was too late, pride had sweetened them for one day, but shame would pepper them for the rest of their lives. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. Give the story a thumbs up and share the story out with your loved ones. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.